Now the next stop is the National Railway Museum. Now it's shut at the minute, obviously, but I'll tell you a bit more. The cholera burial ground on the right there, and people were terrified of cholera victims, even when they were dead, so they buried them outside the city walls, probably because of hygiene reasons. Now the 5-star hotel I talked about is actually on the right. You can see it through the trees there. It's got loads of chimneys on it, and that's the Grand Hotel. And it was originally called the Cedar Court Grand Hotel and Spa. So that's Yorkshire's one and only 5-star hotel over there. Now we're going to do a loop here and I'll show you where the railway museum is for your future reference at the other side of the arch. That building there is now the council offices. That was the station hotel, and that's where the original railway station is over there as well. Next to the Grand Hotel you've got a new hotel, which is a horrible building really. Very typical late 60s. It's called Malmaison. And they're currently on with refurbing that. That's going to open quite soon. So I understand there are holes in the walls around here, and these are all about railways. When the railways came around here, lots of configuration of the walls happened. Behind the buildings on the right, an archaeological dig is going to take place pretty soon. Those buildings at the back are going to go. Massive archaeological dig going in there. On the left you've got your city walls. And where the city walls hit the river here, there are terminal towers either side. These would have been connected by chains to stop boats on the river for the amount of taps and the ice cream boats in here. This is Lenville Bridge. You've got the Star in the city restaurant. There's a really lovely park there if you want to go for a walk. Get yourself an ice cream and go and explore that park. There's cafes all over the place. Around here, as you can see, we get towards the heart of the city. River House on the right. That was a gentleman's club originally. It's called the Yorkshire Club. Main Street on the right, that takes you to Betty's, W.H. Smith's, Boots, all those kinds of things. And on the left is the main entrance into that park. That's all it's about. You've got St Leonard's Hospital on the left. The remains of hospitals, hospitality. They were for the poor mainly. They were run by the Catholic Church and then the Shopping Day. And also in that park there you've got St Mary's Abbey, massive larger Benedictine provincial of the Reformation, and you've got a huge piece of Roman city wall. Go and have a look at that. And we're going to stop around the corner for 10 minutes so you can go and have an explore if you wish. That's your Minster dead ahead. And that is the biggest medieval building in Britain, built between 1220 and 1472. On the left you've got St Leonard's, a beautiful Regency terrace, and that was restored I think it's 2 years ago now. And on the right you've got the Theatre Royal. That's where the likes of Judi Dench and Frankie Howard started their careers. Both from York of course. And we're going to pull up down here, we're going to be here for 7 or 8 minutes, something like that. Building on the left is called the King's Manor, full of history, full of monarchs, royal connections. So we're going to stop here for 7 or 8 minutes. There are buses every 15 minutes. You can get off, go for a walk, and come back, get the next one. You can do what you want. So I'm just going to stop talking for a couple of minutes and I'll start again. Thanks a lot, Richard. Britain was full of cities with walls, well over 100 certainly in the century, and he was the fellow who served them in York. He's called William Etty, so that's why he's there inside the art gallery. A member of the Royal Academy, it says RA after his name, that's it. But if you do want to go for a walk in that park, the area behind the art gallery is actually called the Artist's Garden. The art gallery was operated 6 years ago, I think it was there. It used to be free, but it was pretty average, and now there is a fee, so it's very good. It's working there by Larry, on the left, and you've got this older stuff on the left, which is a bit more close than the other. And this is well, it's early Victorian, it's 1840s, this stuff. It looks like it could easily be 16th century, it looks a bit Tudor. But the gardens look magnificent, actually, they're looking as good as I've ever seen them. On the right you've got the city walls and you've got York Minster. And you can explore the walls, you can get on the walls from all sorts of places. Just a bit of the Minster on the right. Further parts of the Minster are the Western Towers where the bells are. The Central Tower is the highest point of the city. Meetings, and on the left hand side we've got the Great East Window, which you can't quite see but you will. The area on the left is called the Groves. The next city gate is on the right, you can see the top of it from there, it's called Buckingham Park. And the street on the left that we're going to go up to is called Monk Gate, it's the street of the monks. Now there's a church on the left, it's clear, there's all sorts of graves, weird double-hitched roof. And that was replaced by a Victorian church, so at one point there were two churches here. When the good old Victorians knocked the medieval one down, and then we knocked the Victorian one down. But they left the graves behind, as you can see. We're going to turn left here. If we turn right, that is Goodroom Gate, that takes you to the heart of the city. This one is Buckingham Gate. It's the street of the monks. York, ecclesiastically, is significant, and it's the third. On the right, the city walls again. Now they do a disappearing act here. You're going to walk on the walls, which I hope you get a chance to do. When you come off on the right here, you keep going straight down. Literally, you follow the river, and the wall starts at the river. What was here originally, it was a community, and it's gone. Where all this modern stuff is, this was all housing, shops, schools, pubs, factories. It's all been completely flattened, and the area was known as Hundgate, and it was condemned as unfit for human habitation. The whole lot was gone. The Hundgate slums, and they were very, very poor houses, and they were infested with cholera, and people living in it were absolutely impoverished. So the whole lot was cleared away, and they were rehoused in more modern housing outside the city walls, fundamentally, mainly. Now, if you want to go and have a look at the shambles or the heart of the city, this is pretty much as near as we're going to get to that. The shambles is in front of you right here. It's a fabulous street, a fabulous buildings made in the 15th century. That's what's left of the church's front. That's the there. Behind that is the shambles, and the shambles is a street for the butchers. That's where the concentration of churches. London, Norwich, Canterbury, Winchester, York had 49 churches in the world. We know where the early ones were. open space where they've got a wigwam or two wigwams. Busy today, so I imagine there'll be a bit of live music and stuff like that today in the city. You know, you can do that, why not? On the right you've got All Saints Church, which looks like Ely Cathedral. That's because it's got a lantern tower, and those things are actually quite rare, but there are two in York. On the left you've got basically the Coppergate Centre, which is a shopping centre. But down there you've got Jorvik, and there was a big sweet factory here in Cravens, and it was knocked down in the 70s. An archaeological dig went from there, and they found primarily Norse archaeology, almost immediately actually. And Jorvik was born, and it was inspired by the archaeology that was discovered after the sweet factory came down, and the archaeological digs that went into that point. So we've got St Michael's Church on the right, Castle Gates, the bottom main St Mary's Church on the left, with a magnificent spire. That's what York's finest church is. We've got a blue rock pub on the left wing on the side. That's where Dick Turpin's body was put on display after he was executed in York in 1739. That rock house on the right is used for the Corn Exchange, Charlie Chaplin, Tracy Fields, Laurel and Hardy Roy played there. The riverside is on the right, the York Bridge is on the right. This very grand building on the right here with the tower on, Magistrates Court, we finished the tower in wood, was surrounded by wood's cheaper than brick. Friar Gate on the right, another of the streets called the Street of the Friar. That is new red church on the right, very, very expensive indeed. That was the fire stage, but it was originally the Victorian Methodist chapel, and in fact the facade survives. You can see it on the right there in red. So if you want to buy yourself an apartment for £650,000, that's the place to go and do it. Now, all I'm doing is showing stuff that you can't get at. Heritage, and you've got a guy in a very, very gory purple suit. I wouldn't know one of those myself. And over on the left you've got the Castle Museum, which for me is York's best museum by a distance, really. The thing on the left is English heritage. You can see it's wrapped in scaffolding. It's currently under repair, but it's York Castle. It's all that's left of York Castle. Originally it's a motte and bailey. It's a Norman motte and bailey. In the advent of industrialisation, the expansion of cities, walls are often the past and the away. A lot of them came down. On the right we've got a monument to the Green House. Boer War, 1899. On the left we've got the Crown Court, that's where the bars in the window. All the other bits of that massive complex of building on the left. And the Castle Museum, and this is all that's left on the left. Here is the Bailey Wall that went around the whole lot originally. A lot of that actually started until the 1930s. It was knocked down at that point. That's a fully functioning water mill on the left. And this is not a very picturesque part of town at all. It's Piccadilly on the left there, currently under redevelopment, and they put a new Hampton Hilton Hotel down there. There's lots of residential going down there, so it's a place. Part of the city that currently under redevelopment. This is Fishergate Hospital Tower. It's in front of us now, 1505. Replacement for Tolkien Tower, which was in terrible condition and eventually more or less collapsed. So this church actually is open, amazingly. This is a Catholic church, and it says church open, and they're not usually open, so that's St George's. It's a replacement for the original one. I might go and have a look in there actually. There's some really lovely glass in there. That was built in 1850, designed by Joseph Hanson, the designer of the Hanson cabin. It cost £3,550 and it was built inside a year. There was a school on the left here. I remember the school that came down not all that long ago, really. But this whole area has been quite severely redeveloped throughout the years, but there are some old buildings surviving down here. There's some in front of us here that really need a bit of TLC. There's some really interesting lettering here. Falconer, chemist and drugs, and that really wants preserving before it disappears forever, which it looks like it's going to, along with the building, which is in a bit of a mess really. And this is Walgate, W-A-L-L. national centre for early music, St Margaret's Church. On the right was St Mary's Church. On the right is the Bursford Ale House. 1399 crook timbers in there, curved oak beams, and that is unusual for this part of the city, as you can see. There are only 2 timber frame buildings on Moorgate now, and they're both being preserved by York Conservation Trust. At one point I reckon there were at least 25 timber frame buildings down there, and they survived until the 1930s. Some of them were very run down, fair enough, but some of them were not. They really should have saved them. They haven't, just flattened everything. And that one would have gone as well. People fought to save them from demolition, those rail house. And it was originally called Kilmartin. And this part of the city originally was Irish. It was the Irish border, if you like. And the reason for that, potato famines in Ireland, mass immigration, survived, and 3 of them came down. Late 1820s, early 1830s. It's on the right just here. And it's dated about 1400, and the gate itself is about 1300. That's Lawrence Street on the left. Hull Road takes you out to the east, and it's a Roman route really. Down there you've got St Nicholas's Church, you've got St Lawrence's Church, and you had St Mary without as well. And they're all gone. There is a modern St Lawrence, but the others have gone. The restaurant on the left has suddenly changed its name, and that's because it was shut down as the Regent, and it's reopened as the Sky Blue. Lexington Turn was slaughtered at the Battle of Hastings. The Norman Conquest subsequently took place, and by 1086 the Normans had overwhelmed the whole of England. They did a great survey at that point. Domesday, which was called the Book of Yorkshire River's Meet, actually, on the left. That's a flood barrier there. It's called Brownie Dyke. You can actually walk along the riverside on the left there. There are some very nice walks along the riverside if you want to get out of town. There's one, especially one here on the left. It's actually called New Walk on the Esplanade, and the Georgians created it in the 1730s, and they lined it with trees. They used to go and parade their new fashions and things down there. Skeldergate Bridge is 1881. There used to be a ferry here. What a Skelder is very much open for Finny Bay. It's always been understood that it's a shield maker, but I don't think it is. A Skelder is a Norse word for a shelf. And on the right there are some Roman defensive ramparts, and I think that's one here because it's one of York's nicest streets. It's called Bishopthorpe Road. Bishy Road is what the locals call it. A few nice little cafes here, they've all got outside areas. As you can see for yourself, they are absolutely rammed, which is good to see. People are still following the rules, wearing masks and all the rest of it. But hopefully, we want to all that behind us. This is all the railways, 1820s, 1830s. Later on, there's a barking Clifton Bridge, the Great Eastern, and all that. Later on, you get things like the Titanic, craft foods added at one point, and since then, they've been built and sold on a number of occasions and carried on. The town's got a lot of easy to do. mentioned actually earlier on the last lap there was loads of people down there playing football, but obviously disappeared. This lane is called Micklegate Straight. There are 4 of these in the block: Micklegate Straight, Bootham Straight, Clifton Straight and Walgate Straight. They were originally planned for the core. Graves animals collect fire and traditionally or generally throughout the years, this area, especially on our left here, has been a home to lots of activity. Because of lockdown, there hasn't been anything really. Hopefully that's all going to start coming back this summer. We hope in a couple of weeks, really, happy days. Fun fairs, sporting events, pop concerts, usually held further up as we go up this little rise here. And Georgian is 1700 to 1830. The Georgian period is 4th George then you get George the 5th and George the 6th. So the most, you've got 8 Henrys, 8 Edwards, 6 Georges. So, on the left, the Elmbank Hotel, that was a house. Sidney Leatham lived there, very well off millowner. And the buildings around here were all originally private buildings for the well off. St Mount, St Mary's Hill. I think it was St Mary's, I need to double check that. I have forgotten frankly. And some people think this is a defensive road and ramparts. It might well be, but the only way to prove it is to dig it up. Much more likely to be a geographical feature. This looks like one of our people. The last heads to go on stakes up there with Jacobite rebels after Culloden, James Main, William Connolly, and if you go through that archway, there are 4 churches down there, and I reckon there are 8 down there. There's St Mary Magdalene, St Gregory, St Mary Bishop Senior, currently St George, St Mary Bishop Junior, St Martin, St Gregory, and the Priory Church and Holy Church. And I think there's a St Benet's as well. On the right, 2 hours of the right station, Rose of the Water, top of the road, you can see what's left of it. It's the same sort of posterity. That's the Hudson Quarter, that's being moved on right now. There's residential and there was a building there before, 1960s. On the left is the current railway station. And it's the 3rd one really. There was one in Queen Street behind us, a temporary one. Then you got one inside the walls on the right, and then 1877 the one on the left opened. It's a great fanfare, and it was certainly the biggest railway station in the world when it opened. Now that, I have checked that, in fact that is correct, it's nowhere near there of course. Cholera burial ground on the right, 1835, probably 120 bodies in there, there's only 12 stones remaining now. Cholera, the bloke who discovered what caused it. 10 minutes. Good place to go and explore, get on the walls, walk in the park, do whatever it is you want, do anything you want to do, whether in the hot or something.